vote temprano el 27 de abril 2015. Las votaciones generales serán el 9 de mayo 2015. Este anuncio es aprobado y pagado por la campaña de Carolyn King Arnold.
Voto por Winnie Cannon, la candidata para el concejal del Distrito 3 de la ciudad de Dallas. Usted cuenta conmigo. Voto temprano el 27 de abril 2015. Las votaciones generales serán el 9 de mayo 2015. Este anuncio está aprobado y pagado por la campaña de Winnie Cannon.
John Lawson, candidato para el Distrito 7. Su interés es nuestra gente. El voto temprano es el 27 de abril 2015. Las elecciones generales son el 9 de mayo 2015. Pagado y aprobado por la campaña de John Lawson.
Muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos a Ecolatino, la fuerza de la comunidad. Todos los domingos de 1 a 2 de la tarde, Ecolatino, revísenos en Facebook, Ecolatino Radio Programa o Ecolatino Marina, nos pueden encontrar en Facebook. Encuéntrenos este mes de abril, los últimos de abril y de mayo, porque vamos a estar en Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey. Así es que si quieren boletos, ya iniciaron otra vez el circo más grande que va a estar en Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey and American Airlines. Thank you, and we have two special guests here. Tenemos al señor Mayor, que va a correr para Mayor, señor Marcos Ronquillo. Así es que la señora Hilda ahorita lo va a introducir. Y tenemos a David Palmer for District 8 en Irving. Van a preguntar por qué tenemos a los dos candidatos, uno de Irving y uno de Dallas, porque tenemos hispanos donde quiera. La semana pasada teníamos a Arlington. La próxima semana vamos a tener la gente de DISD. Todos los candidatos que van a estar corriendo para DISD van a estar aquí la próxima semana. Así es que se pueden comunicar con nosotros al 972-788-2287.
Buenos días a todos, bienvenidos. Les quisiera presentar y tengo el orgullo de presentar a ustedes al señor Marcos Ronquillo, candidato para la ciudad de Dallas como alcalde. Él es un mexicoamericano del sur de Tucson, Arizona, que ha vivido aquí muchísimos años y ahorita vamos a saber cuántos, creo que son 15, 16. Él es casado con una puertorriqueña, una boricua de la isla del Encanto.
Merengue.
Sí, ella se llama Jazmín. Y han estado casados, creo, 36 años con 2 hijos.
Gracias a Dios.
Sí, así es. Y bueno, vamos a preguntarle más adelante de su campaña y de sus raíces, porque sé que tiene raíces cubanas por ahí, me dijeron. Vamos a seguir adelante.
Vamos a iniciar ahorita con Marcos Ronquillo. We're going to start off with Marcos Ronquillo, and then we'll take it over to David Palmer in Irving. We want to see how many registered voters are in Irving, and who is David Palmer for District 8. Señor Marcos, díganos un poquito por qué vamos a elegir a Marcos Ronquillo.
Pues primeramente, antes de contestar, déjame explicar. Yo tengo más de 30 años de experiencia como abogado, representando agencias de gobierno federal, estatal y mundial, y también municipal, incluyendo la ciudad de Dallas, sería Dallas, también el Departamento de Tránsito, de DART, también el Aeropuerto Internacional, DFW Airport, el Condado, y también el estado de Texas y también FDIC. So, yo tengo esta experiencia y con esta experiencia yo quiero servir y trabajar con nuestra comunidad y gracias a Dios déjame ver si podemos trabajar también como el alcalde de Dallas.
Así es que vamos a continuar y vamos a preguntarle las preguntas, Hilda, en inglés y en español. Nuestra traductora que viene siendo Hilda Duarte. ¿Qué es lo que sucedió ayer? Estábamos en LULAC, which was very important. I think, Hilda,
¿qué pasó ayer en LULAC? Importante.
On my viewpoint, that I was in the back standing there, I think we should get more Hispanics involved, the community more involved. This is a question, I guess, for Mr. Ronquillo. Why is it that more Hispanics are not getting involved in community issues?
Los hispanos no se involucran en los problemas de hispanidad.
It was a great turnout, but I think the community, they'll go to quinceañeras, they'll go to the soccer tournaments, but why aren't they involved in civic organizations?
Los hispanos en organizaciones cívicas.
Well, the problem is education and poverty. El problema es la educación y la pobreza. And nosotros estamos en una gran lucha en este momento. We are in a great struggle right now for our community. And we need to emphasize education, and we need to work on the poverty. You know, Dallas, of the 9 top cities in the country with a population of more than 1 million, Dallas es número 1 en el porcentaje de los niños aquí en Dallas viviendo en la pobreza.
¿Y qué piensa usted hacer si es elegido como alcalde para cambiar ese estatus?
What do you plan on doing?
Pues first off,
To change it.
tenemos que trabajar juntos y unidos apoyando las escuelas públicas de ISD. También tenemos que trabajar con la ciudad de Dallas. También tenemos que apoyar los parientes, los padres y también los niños y las maestras en las escuelas públicas. Y si tengo la oportunidad como estar como alcalde, mi trabajo es lo siguiente: poner un plan, implementar un plan que es muy claro y que es muy justo.
Implement a plan that will be clear and just.
Right. To make sure that every child in DISD has an equal educational opportunity.
¿Y cómo es el plan para alcanzar eso?
Okay. Otra vez, trabajando con las escuelas públicas, apoyando la mesa directiva de DISD, también apoyando las maestras, apoyando los parientes y también los niños. Y estamos hablando de programas como preschool, pre-K, también programas después de la escuela. Es sumamente importante para nuestros hijos.
Okay, if the mayor's position doesn't have really anything to do with the voting and the implementation of rules and policies in the school districts, how do you plan to negotiate or work with that?
Correcto. El alcalde tiene el poder. Okay. Él tiene el poder para reunir la comunidad. También yo antes fui como el presidente de la mesa directiva de la Cámara de Comercio Hispana.
Right.
Okay.
Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. So, por eso yo tengo experiencia trabajando con negocios, trabajando con empresas.
¿Qué año fue eso, perdón?
En 86.
86.
Y también,
tiene muchos años en la comunidad.
Y yo tengo 36 años viviendo aquí en Dallas.
Okay, perfecto.
Y también yo era el presidente de los abogados mexicanos,
Dallas
americanos
Hispanic
aquí en Dallas.
Okay.
También. Pero el problema es que tenemos que incluir todo. En este momento tenemos que incluir las empresas y también las empresas mexicanas. Tenemos un montón de empresas mexicanas y tenemos que incluir ellos en la conversación.
Es cierto. Yo he estado en la comunidad.
Y apoyarlos, obviamente.
Exacto.
Donde hay muchos negocios que sí tienen gente hispana mexicana, pero son residentes y algunos son ciudadanos, sin embargo no se involucran porque siempre que van a la Cámara de Comercio todos están en traje y bien vestidos y ellos vienen de trabajar en las calles. ¿Qué haría usted para incluirlos y hacerlos bienvenidos?
Pues tenemos que tener programas por todo el mundo.
Yeah.
Okay. A mí no me importa si estás sin papeles o estás con papeles.
Okay.
Estamos aquí en nuestra comunidad. Tenemos que trabajar juntos y unidos con todo el mundo. Y el problema es que hay veces que los mexicoamericanos están en contra de los inmigrantes. Y eso no es bueno. Tenemos que cambiar eso.
Es que yo creo que
no vale.
se nos ha olvidado nuestras raíces. Lo que pasa con los chicanos o los ciudadanos nacidos aquí, han perdido su descendencia y su cultura.
Exacto.
Porque sus padres y antepasados se les ha olvidado. Ya vinieron al sueño americano, ya lo alcanzaron y se olvidan de sus raíces.
Sí.
I think what we need to do is involve them more in businesses,
Yes.
like all the Hispanic businesses,
out.
reach out to them. As leaders, currently they're not reaching out to them. They're reaching out to their own purposes.
Una nueva organización de laborers, maybe?
Well,
Like
I
Hispanic
got
chamber?
endorsed by the AFL-CIO, and labor is a very important friend to the immigration community, and we need to develop our ties with labor, because our Latinos brothers and sisters, they work in manufacturing, construction, food and beverage, hotel, motel. Oftentimes, their labor is a difference between profit and loss for these companies. So everybody needs to step up to the plate and support our immigrant community.
That's correct.
Así
Thank you.
es. Vamos a continuar ahorita. Vamos a ir con David Palmer from Irving. We're going to the other side, opposite side of Dallas. We're going over here to Irving, District 8. I wanted to ask you about the voter participation, Hispanic voter participation in Irving. Has that increased since to Danish? Actually, it was Danish
Right.
since he ran.
No, not really. I don't think, and it's been a frustration for a long time in Irving for many candidates, because although the populations in Irving has increased, where last number I saw was about 41% of the population in Irving is Hispanic, about 30% is white non-Hispanic, that they have a very difficult time even fielding a candidate to run.
Yeah, I think we helped Rivera the last time he ran in Irving, and we didn't receive that participation from the Hispanic communities there. I don't know if you remember Rivera, and he's got a church over there off of Irving Boulevard.
Right.
Why do you think that in Irving there's a lot of leaders that aren't going to the city council meetings? They're not participating in the city council.
It's interesting. I participated in a conversation League of Women Voters had. There was a study out of University of Texas, Strauss Center, and it identified that even just the Hispanic community in general doesn't tend to discuss political issues. Only about half of the response from the white non-Hispanic community. So by that I mean about 35% of respondents from white non-Hispanic community says that when they gather as families or friends that they discuss political issues. It was half of that in Hispanic communities, about 17%.
Okay. I want to ask you both of you this question. What is the uncomfortable truth about your city that voters must confront?
Apathy.
Apathy.
We're not voting.
I agree with that. Apathy. It's one of the most frustrating things in this election that I'm going through. We have in Irving 87,000 plus registered voters.
And what percentage of those votes, sorry?
The last election cycle in the at-large position, there were less than 5,000 people who voted.
Wow.
What civic organizations are you engaged in, Mr. Palmer?
Well, I've been involved with
Hispanic organizations.
Hispanic organizations? Yeah. Really none that are specifically Hispanic.
And regular organizations?
I've been involved in the past in the Chamber of Commerce. I've been on the City Planning and Zoning Commission. Spent about 7.5 years on it. On Tax Increment Financing Board. I've been involved in things like Rotary and PTA.
So, Mr. Ronquillo, with your response of apathy, how would you go about it to reach these people that are registered and don't vote? What is your goal, and how do you plan to get them to the polls?
Well, first off, our field director is Jason Leon. He's one of the top field directors in the country today with respect to outreach and voter registration. And if someone's interested in reaching out to the campaign, they can talk to Jason Leon, field director. His number is 202-714-9838. We just did walks in District 9 and District 10. We're doing walks in District 4. And we're working with other city council candidates that are of the same philosophy of us in terms of getting our community engaged.
Can you repeat that number again? I'm
sure. His name is Jason Leon, field director for Marcos Ronquillo, candidate for mayor, at 202-202-714-9838.
And are you yourself knocking on doors?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. I like that.
Got to.
Yes. I recall when Dr. Elba Garcia was running for county commission, I had surgery on my knee, and I said, I want to help, so I was her chauffeur. And she went door to door, all of Duncanville, and you would be amazed at how many people went to vote just because she appeared and knocked on her door versus somebody in her campaign. And that makes a big difference. So good for you.
Pues fíjate que hay más de 100,000 votantes hispanos registrados aquí en Dallas.
Wow.
Tenemos la fuerza.
Para ganar.
Exacto, en sus manos. Podemos hacerlo, podemos cambiar la ciudad. Nomás tenemos que votar.
Y yo digo, si usted no sale y vota, usted está contribuyendo a lo que pasa en la ciudad.
Amen.
Si usted vota, salga y lleve 5, 6 o 7 personas. Yo a mi sobrina me escribió ayer, me mostró que puso el letrero de Marcos Ronquillo en su casa. Le dije, ahí hay 13 votos, mija, no te vas a tener sola, vete con
Are you picking up voters? I know some of the seniors, Mr. Ronquillo and Mr. Palmer. Do you have transportation for them? Who do they need to call? Is it
Jason Leon, trabajando con la comunidad hispana.
Si usted, la comunidad, necesita que ir a votar, salir a votar, no tiene right, nosotros estamos disponibles también. Hilda está disponible, Marina está disponible. Señor Ronquillo tiene su representante que está disponible. And Mr. Palmer, I'm sure you have availability in case they don't have transportation to vote.
Right.
You can pick them up.
Yeah, we'll pick up, and there's a phone number you can call for our campaign as well. It's 972-861-0112.
Absolutely. Mr. Ronquillo, I had a question for you. Yes. You mentioned yesterday at the LULAC convention on gentrification. What would you do for, I guess, the poor class? I know this has happened in West Dallas trailer parks,
Right.
the Royal Inn and Empire Central, the Mockingbird trailer parks.
Right.
There is an allocated budget for them that needs to be given to them already, I think? Isn't that
Yes,
true?
I believe that when this issue came about, the city
There was no
stepped
money
up
that was given to them.
and said, well, we're going to proportion this budget so that when they're displaced, they can come and get it. Well, that was never done. So if you're elected, can you go back and help them out to get relocated?
And that's happening a lot in Dallas.
The problem is that we need to treat people with dignity and respect.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. You know, we need to treat people with dignity and respect. And the issue with gentrification, yes, we can have economic development, and that's fine. But economic development for whom?
There you go.
Okay, we need to protect our neighborhoods.
Yes, and I see that happening a lot in West Dallas in the Grove, where the bridge has come in and there's a lot of homes there, and they say, oh, the homes are going up, but really they don't move with the community. So pretty soon they're going to start going north and further west and getting rid of those homes to keep developing the Grove. What's going to happen to those people?
And we're going to lose our tax base, and those people are basically homeless. They have no place to go. We need to respect our neighborhoods and respect our architecture.
Isn't there some clauses when they do economic development that said that they have to have a percentage of the new development go to the poverty people or the people that they're displacing?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I can tell you that we need to have a percentage of each investment go back into the neighborhoods. It's not fair for developers outside of the neighborhoods to get the bulk of the profits. We need to plow those profits back into the neighborhood.
That's actually, I wanted to ask Mr. Palmer, that's going on around in Irving, Texas also, in the downtown area. I know you mentioned that earlier, that they're concentrating on working in that downtown area, but they've forgotten about the other neighborhoods.
Right. Well, there's actually been, over the last decade, there's been a tremendous amount of residential development in the northern part of Irving. Now, they had an advantage in that they had blank, empty, vacant land to build on, where the issues around the southern part of the city are much different because you've got existing structures that have to be dealt with. But I think the biggest opportunity we've got in Irving is around the TRE station, Trinity Rail Express, downtown, or transit-oriented development.
I love it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Palmer. I guess
I have
several
a question
issues
for Mr. Palmer before we proceed. Mr. Palmer, historically, Irving is known for police profiling, racial profiling, immigration issues, deportation. What can you tell us, if you were elected, how would you help soothe this and help your community and your constituents?
Well, this immigration issue is something that really needs to be dealt with on, by our national level, because here's what happens.
Wait, let me stop you right there. Okay. Yes, it's a national level issue, but it's also local. Locally, what would you do? That's the question.
Well, the point I wanted to make to you was that when this is one of those issues, when you look at it from 30,000 feet, it looks one way. But when you look at it from a local level like I have now, where I have young men and women who grew up with my kids, through school, and now have found out that, they were brought here as an infant and we're not here legally. It changes perspective on it dramatically. And so, I don't really know how to answer this succinctly.
Okay.
It's a difficult issue, and I tell you what, I think that more assimilation into the community through these young people and helping them, because a lot of these folks, this is the only life they know.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Vamos a continuar con el señor Ronquillo. Some of the major issues in the Hispanic community are, that you mentioned yesterday, were domestic violence. In the Hispanic communities that does occur, it is occurring right now as we speak. What would you do as mayor to enforce that? I know they've done it. I know Mayoral did that in the past, but lately it's still continuing. I've spoken to many judges. I've interviewed many judges, and this is an on-occurring thing every day. Well,
crime, robberies, and rapes are up 38%. So if anyone tells you that crime is down, that's not true. And so violent crime is basically up. And I think it's education, orientation, and training. And plus, we live with stereotypes, macho completo. Right, we all live with that, right? But we start with the men, Okay, it's the men that need to change, and the men need to respect women, and it also goes both ways.
Right.
The women need to respect the man. Okay, and I think that's very, very important. And the man and the woman need to be role models for the children. Exactly. That they can't fight in front of the children, and they should never resort to any kind of domestic violence in front of los niños. That's wrong.
So there's an organization called Anthem, Strong Families. Would you consider working with them to see the services that they provide, and maybe doing this at schools and churches where this organization could do that kind of training, or maybe with Genesis or Latina Against Domestic Violence that comes out of Irving?
Absolutely, and I've been a donor to the
Nice.
Genesis shelter.
Wonderful.
Absolutely, we need to do that, and we need to work with more organizations that are in the community trying to make our community better.
And I work with youth, and so this is really close to my heart, but I think in line with that comes with abstinence. I know schools don't want to talk about this, but I think with parental consent, it's okay.
Right.
Because what happens 9 times out of 10, being a Hispanic myself, you practically got to get married to get out of the house. You can't go to college away from 50-mile radius of your home. What would you do to encourage parents to say, hey, Mina, let's be open-minded. Let's talk about contraception. Let's talk about abstinence. Let's let our little girls go to college in New York and California. How would you address this?
Well, I tell you what I've done. When I was the chairman of the Hispanic Alumni Association for the University of Notre Dame, I actually did a video, DVD, that we sent to young Latina women in South Texas. Because we weren't getting enough Latinas at the university. The men were going. I was going, but the women were not. And so this video, we showed the mariachis at the Feast of la Virgen de Guadalupe. In other words, to show the parents that it's okay for the women, the girls in their community to go as far away to South Bend, Indiana, at the University of Notre Dame. A beautiful DVD. We need to do more of that, and we also need to encourage Latinas, just like to encourage women in general, to break out and don't handle any of those stereotypes. They can do anything. They could be and they will be the next president of the United States.
Amen. Que te oiga Dios.
Que vamos a ir a un corte comercial y regresamos con el señor Ronquillo and Mr. David Palmer from Irving.
That was a plug for Hillary. Sorry. I lost it there. Focus on this. You guys are great.
Oh,
thank you. We
This is
try our
awesome.
best. We try.
Man.
We try.
So when are we going to go? What can I syndicate you guys?
Aquí no hay debates ni nada.
What's your question?
No. When can I syndicate you?
Whenever you want. You can do a full hour if you want.
No, I say syndicate. I mean, I want to incorporate you guys. Let's take
Vote
this
por
on the
Winnie
road.
Cannon, la candidata para el
We're
concejal
ready.
del
You have a
Distrito 3
business
de la
card on
ciudad de
you?
Dallas.
Give me your business card.
Cuenta conmigo. Voto temprano el
Represented our
17 de abril de 2015. Las votaciones generales serán el 9 de mayo de
I've been
2015.
interviewing
Este
judges.
anuncio estará aprobado por Winnie Cannon.
You guys are great.
John, we try our best, and we work together, and we bring the right people, the right questions. You know, no da vergüenza preguntar temprano and questions that get you uncomfortable. We want to answer. And thank you for being honest, because honesty is going to get you a long way. We catch people in a life that's detrimental to your...
Muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos a Ecolatino, la fuerza de la comunidad. La próxima semana vamos a tener a todos los miembros de DISD, los candidatos que van a estar corriendo para DISD, que viene siendo Bernadette Nuttall, y los otros 2 representantes que son candidatos para DISD. Es muy importante que se enfoque y que mire y que escuche Ecolatino, la fuerza de la comunidad. Estamos en Facebook, Twitter, Marina Ecolatino y Ecolatino Radio. Estamos ahí para servirles a ustedes. Recuerden que vámonos al circo. Ringling Brothers, Barnum & Bailey ya viene en julio. Vamos a tener boletos, así es que llámenos por favor si quieren boletos al 972-788-2287. Se pueden comunicar conmigo. Obviamente, para hacer las preguntas a nuestros representantes que aquí tenemos. Hilda, tenías un corte comercial de LULAC, la convention que van a tener.
Actually, la nacional no tengo la información delante de mí, pero sí quisiera compartir una cosa. Ahorita estamos trabajando con TOP, que es la Texas Organization Project, y el viernes 1 de mayo vamos a hacer una marcha que se llama Levántense para la lucha, y es para trabajadores y familias para la justicia de inmigrantes. Y esto va a ser, no tengo la idea dónde va a ser ese lugar, pero pueden comunicarse. Va a ser en el centro de Dallas. So me imagino que en el sitio de, a ver, Miss, City Hall. En City Hall, en la ciudad de la alcaldía allí por la Mayoral en Young Street. Y eso se va a iniciar a las 4 de la tarde el día 1 de mayo. También el concilio de LULAC va a tener su convención nacional, va a ser mayo 28 al 31 de 2015 y va a ser en Lubbock. Si tiene preguntas o algo así, pueden ir a la página de LULAC.org y ahí le da toda la información que usted desee saber. Y es el 28 al 31 del mes de mayo en Lubbock, Texas. Esperamos verlos ahí.
Y recuerden, esta es una cosa muy importante para nuestra comunidad, que vamos a estar en todas las polling areas. Vamos a estar allí. Si usted quiere saber sobre cada candidato, no le vamos a decir que voten por ellos, pero le vamos a sugerir a quién, ¿verdad? ¿Quién son los candidatos preferidos? ¿Quién son los que han salido a la comunidad? De hecho, nuestros voluntarios de Ecolatino van a tener sus camisetas de Ecolatino y vamos a mandarlos. Vamos a estar en diferentes sitios. Yo voy a estar en el área ya de Oak Cliff, Hilda en el área de Oak Cliff, Joe va a estar en el área de North Dallas y doña Silvia va a estar en el área cerquitas ahí del centro de Dallas. Así es que vamos a estar nuestros representantes ahí afuera en los polling areas con las camisetas de Ecolatino y vamos a sugerirles cuáles son los candidatos preferidos que realmente hacen algo para nuestra comunidad.
Estamos hablando de candidatos que están envueltos en la comunidad, como el señor Ronquillo, que tiene 36 años aquí y 36 años ha estado envuelto desde que llegó. Tenemos candidatos que dicen, bueno, me mudé a esta área porque quiero representar a este pueblo, pero no saben de la comunidad. Entonces el señor Ronquillo es una persona que no nada más está con la comunidad hispana, está con toda la comunidad. And he represents all constituents, not just Hispanic constituents. And that's the beauty of being a lawyer and a mayor, that you represent all your constituents, not just the Hispanic community, not just the minorities, but everybody equally. And education affects everybody equally. Violence affects everybody equally. Poverty affects everybody equally, so we're going to address those issues. So let's be sure we go out and vote on April 27th, and don't forget, May 9th will be the actual general voting.
The actual election. I had a question for Mr. Ronquillo. I think yesterday's debate was about charter schools.
Great.
What is your opinion on charter schools versus DISD?
Well, first off, my wife, Yasmin, has been a bilingual speech therapist, terapia del habla. And so she's been there for like 30 some odd years, since 1980. And my sons are also public schools, of course, but our youngest also went to Bishop and Bishop Lynch.
Oh, okay.
So I know there's good private schools, there's good charter schools, but I feel that public schools are the backbone of our democracy, and that we need to support our public schools as much as possible. And I think if you go to a charter school, that charter school must also accept children that are disabled, and children that are English language learners, and children that have also special needs. They can't just cherry pick.
Right.
And they also have to have the same standards as their public schools. But if push come to shove, my answer is I have to support the public schools because that's where the majority of our children are at, especially our Latino children.
Yes, and let me add a little something to that. I'm not going to mention the charter schools where I work or the charter schools that I've heard of, but they are charter schools that actually do a test for admission, and that is handpicking. And we're supposed to have open enrollment for all students. And the open enrollment policy, the state is very clear on that. But parents are ignorant sometimes because they haven't studied the policy on open enrollment. Also with handicapped and disabled and special ed students. I'm fortunate enough to the school that I work has a curriculum coordinator for every 3 grade levels, a special ed teacher for every 3 grade levels, and we have a coordinator for all the coordinators of education and academics, and a special coordinator supervisor for all the special ed teachers. And we have an inclusion program, but unfortunately not everybody has an inclusion program. And that contributes to the failure instead of to the success of the children in their academic career.
Absolutely. Así es que voy a continuar ahorita una pregunta para Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer, if elected, will you be working close to the Irving Police Department to help the immigrants, to help our communities in those areas if they don't have a driver's license, if they get tickets? Can you work with the Irving Police Department because they are very drastic with racial profiling?
Yes, I'm absolutely willing to do that. I'm close with law enforcement. I don't think I mentioned I am a licensed attorney. I haven't practiced law for a living in more than 20 years, but I would certainly work with law enforcement to help keep our community whole, and yet, people have to follow laws.
Well, actually, I go into Irving and they just start following me around. So, so I think at working closely, that's why I wanted several candidates from that area from Irving.
Right. Well,
I know I've spoken to Mr. Spink about it, but he's like, yes, Marina, we're actually going to be working with them and so forth, but he didn't elaborate on that.
Well, there's a lot of folks my son, who's white, he happens to have long hair. He thinks they follow him around too. So
no, they actually follow me around and stop me.
Well, kind of him too.
But this does happen. We're not going to cover up anything. It does happen in Irving, and hopefully it has improved.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, let me give you an example. I was at a young girl's birthday party, and her father happens to be a landscaper, and he said he was pulled over. He just finished some work in Irving, finished his work, and his trailer had a problem. So he unhitched the trailer and was taking the stuff from the trailer and putting it in the back of his pickup when 3 police officers came and surrounded him. And were trying to arrest him because he was littering, but he was moving stuff from one trailer to another. And the guy told him, I should take you. And he says, I'm not breaking any laws. And he goes, well, I should take you, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be nice. But if I come back in 20 minutes and you're still here, I'm going to arrest you. And he said, I left my trailer unhitched there and took off. So he left his property there. Probably today he's not going to be there. Why should our people or your constituents put up with that?
No, I agree with you 100% on that.
I told him, I said, I would have stayed. I would have dialed 911 and asked for his sergeant to come and talk to that young man and see what law were you breaking. You were parked, you were off the street, you were on the service road, and you were taking care of your business. It was racial profiling, because I'm sure that if it was a white guy doing that, they would have probably put the red lights to protect him while he took care of his business. I've seen that happen many times.
Así es que vamos a continuar ahorita con nuestro Ronquillo.
Yes.
A ver, el señor Ronquillo, una pregunta. Why should voters choose you over your opponent?
3 issues. First off, neighborhoods. We need to strengthen our neighborhoods and provide our neighborhoods with basic services. That's why I'm against the Trinity Toll Road. I feel we need to make that investment into our infrastructure. That's why I stood on a pothole for 4 hours between a liquor store and a tire shop on Samuel Boulevard to protest how Dallas has treated itself. The second is education. I don't believe in a top-down approach to education. I believe that we need to meet with our educators, our parents, and our teachers to come up with programs that are good for our schools, and that every strong neighborhood have a strong neighborhood school. And then the third is jobs. We need to bring jobs to South Dallas, West Dallas, and East Dallas. We cannot rely on jobs going to the suburbs. And right now, Dallas is becoming a glorified bus stop on the way to the suburbs.
Well, let's talk about jobs. I think that if we look at the big picture of major corporations and businesses that want to come to Dallas, want to have top education because they're having families. So how are we going to address the education issue if we're number 49 or 50 nationwide? Could you start one school at a time, do like a pilot program with 1 or 2 schools, develop them, then get that whole team, move it out, and develop another school until they go there?
Hilda, those are great ideas. We really don't need a poverty task force. If you look at the Texas Organizing Project, they have 26 communities and schools projects already at DISD. And what you do, Hilda, is you have a wraparound 24/7 program with neighborhoods. I'm talking about nutrition, food deserts, transportation, DART,
yes.
Okay, infrastructure, real sidewalks, real sewage systems, and then you have a 24/7 wraparound with the local neighborhood school, and that means that the child is safe before school and the child is safe after school, and that there's a program where the child gets extra tutors, extra help, extra nutrition during the time that he's at school. And we're not doing that, Hilda. We can do that. We have the power to do that. We're just not organized to do that.
Exactly. And that brings me to the situation of protection. Just last week, we had one man that had kidnapped 3 young ladies.
Oh, no.
And here in Dallas. And so there was no protection for those children that are walking. Now, I know from experience that some parents go to work at 6 a.m., feed the family, and take off, and they depend for the children to get there. What kind of protection can we give them? I know that the Sheriff's Department has the constables and their police force that are almost just doing nothing. Could we tap into them? I know they're county, but could we tap into them to patrol in the mornings? Because the police officers are busy with wrecks and other real crime, and these guys are just serving, subpoenas and citations and so forth, but could we tap into them and help them monitor the community in the mornings, especially and at 3 o'clock? That's only an hour's worth of their time.
Absolutely. And then, let's don't forget, our abuelos and abuelas.
Yes.
And our ancianos in our community,
we've overlooked the blind also.
The blind, yes.
There's a big organization,
Exactly.
Our head Herschel Weisfield, he was the only one concentrating on the blind. Wow. The blind, the handicapped, the seniors, those are the voters.
Right.
Those are your people that were there.
Exactly. But we can also engage them too in volunteer efforts.
Yes.
We can get them out of the house.
Yes. Well, I think then we would have to sit down at the round table and talk to the school ISD about parent involvement and engagement, because we have a lot of seniors that would love to go and read. I know we have the On Your Walkers, which is an organization of grandparents that read, but who's really reaching out to them and holding the school of engagement accountable for this?
Marina and Hilda, you guys are my heroes.
Thank you.
I'm serious. I mean, you raise more issues and have more ideas than the Dallas City Council.
And that's what we need. That's what we need. We're asking true questions. We know about the debates, pero lo que queremos saber es realmente qué es lo que sucede en nuestra comunidad.
We don't want to sugarcoat anything. I'm sorry, nobody pays me salary. I'm here because I love my community. I love the city of Dallas, and I'm in love with education and youngsters. And so I want to be sure that I'm making a good choice in voting for you, Mr. Ronquillo. And you've got my vote. So far, you've convinced me.
Voy a preguntarle a Mr. Palmer one more question. Why should voters choose you over your opponents, which is Mr. Spink?
I think there's a couple reasons. One, I think my skill set, my mindset really have me prepared for two things that their city's going down the path with. One, comprehensive plan update that's beginning. And two, for really the first time, the city's getting into long-term financial planning. And I think my background suits me ideally for that, much better than my opponent. And really the second reason is because I am an independent thinker and voice, and my opponent's always been relatively silent, automatic vote for our mayor, who does a lot of positive things. But like everybody else, she's not right 100% of the time. And so I think I'm more qualified for him in that aspect as well.
Where should we go? We want to get a hold of you, Mr. Palmer. You're very accessible to me, but where should the community go if they have questions, they want to ask you any information about Mr. Palmer?
We've got a website that's davidpalmerforIrving.com. There's my background, contact information for email is on there as well.
And one more question to Mr. Ronquillo. Please rate the transparency of decision making in your city, in City Hall.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 5 at this point. We have, and I'll give you two quick examples. The panel of experts on the Trinity Toll Road, we didn't even know who was funding them until last week. That is wrong. The group, Save Our Public Schools, except for one major donor, we didn't know who was funding them. We're acting like a small southern city and not a global international city. And so we need to have much more transparency at City Hall.
Mr. Palmer?
I think our transparency is pretty good. It can't, there's always room for improvement. But overall, I rate it pretty high.
Okay, excelente. ¿Y alguna otra pregunta antes de irnos a un corte comercial? Y regresamos con el señor Ronquillo para que nos dé más información sobre dónde va a estar para las votaciones, quién va a estar allí. Necesitamos voluntarios para que nos ayuden a promover al señor Ronquillo. Es una persona excelente en la comunidad y hay que apoyar realmente a la gente hispana, a nuestra gente hispana, que sepa qué es lo que está haciendo.
Yeah, just one last question as we leave your commercial so you can be thinking about it. Something that the current mayor is doing now that you would do differently, that affects the entire community. Please, think about that and answer it when we get back from the short commercial.
Y la próxima semana vamos a tener a Winnie Cannon del Distrito 3. Adelante.
candidata
we'll
para el
do
concejal del Distrito 4 de la
advertisement
ciudad
igual que
de
ellos y correrlo por radio.
Estamos contigo. Vote temprano el 27 de abril 2015. Las votaciones generales serán el 9 de mayo 2015. Este anuncio es aprobado y pagado por la campaña de Carolyn King Arnold.
Vote por Winnie Kennedy, candidata para el concejal del Distrito 3 de la ciudad de Dallas. Usted cuenta conmigo. Voto temprano el 27 de abril 2015. Las votaciones generales serán el 9 de mayo de 2015. Winnie Kennedy.
You still keep your roots.
Right, candidato para el distrito 7. En su interés es nuestra gente. El voto temprano es el 9 de mayo de 2015. Las elecciones generales son el 9 de mayo de 2015. Pagado y aprobado por la campaña de John Locke.
Y recuerden que vamos a tener a Carolyn King Arnold el 27 de abril. La vamos a tener en estas semanas antes de las elecciones. Así hay que recordar cuáles son sus candidatos preferidos, quién está haciendo algo para la comunidad hispana. Eso es muy importante. Se pueden comunicar con nosotros al 972-788-2287. Y recuerden que el circo Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey viene en julio, así es que vamos a tener boletitos. Se pueden comunicar conmigo o mandar en Facebook, hagan un like en Ecolatino Radio al 214-228-5510 y pueden entrar al Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pueden entrar ahí y hacernos un like. Así es que vamos adelante. La pregunta que les hiciste, Hilda.
Sí, que algo que está haciendo actualmente el alcalde que está en el puesto hoy, ¿qué haría usted diferente que afectaría a la comunidad? If there was one thing that you would change and do differently of the current mayor. Mr. Palmer?
Well, to me, I think a little bit, we tend to be focused more on what's happened in the past instead of in the future. And by that, I mean, we have a tendency in Irving to be caught up in trying to blame things that have happened over the last 2 or 3 years. And I think, I remember something when Ross Perot was running before. He said we ought to be focusing on fixing problems and not on fixing blame. And so I think we ought to be looking forward and not backwards so much.
Okay, Mr. Ronquillo.
I'm talking about the autopista, la carretera de viaje. No es necesario, es muy caro, muy costoso y muy costoso para usar. Estamos hablando de más de $1,000 millones. I want to put that money into our neighborhoods.
So you're talking about the rail track?
I'm talking about the Trinity River toll road.
How much money are we talking about?
If you've seen the toll road, Mr. Ronquillo on 35, I never use it. On One and Hill, I accidentally jumped on the toll road because I failed the exits.
Can you tell me?
Right now, North Texas has the largest concentration of toll roads of any other place in the country. That is taxation without representation, because it's very costly for lower to middle income people to use these toll roads. It's not a problem for the wealthy. It's a problem for the rest of the community, and I want to change that.
Do you believe that this toll road is being exclusive for certain people of our community?
Hilda, once again, you are right. You know, I want you to come over and do my speech writing for me. Okay? No, you're exactly right. It's an elitist project for the elite. It does not serve our community. What our community needs is more parks, more recreation facilities that are free to the public for all our families can use. We need more parks and more recreation areas.
So that brings me to my next question.
Hilda's been fighting for those parks.
And this brings me to this is my next question and has been my pet peeve for quite a while.
That's right.
The Peace Park is a huge, beautiful park. At one time, it was used freely by all the community. Everybody could go and play baseball. Everybody could play soccer. There were soccer fields everywhere. Right now, the park has been fenced in to include the soccer fields. And therefore, the children who go to play don't have access to that. They have to call City Hall, pay a fee to go play. And I'm saying, our parents already pay taxes for that. That park should be free of fees. Why then do our children have to go to get into gangs, go get involved in other things? It's because they don't have anywhere to go. What would you do to remove those fences and make it accessible?
Well, Hilda, we need to explore different alternatives for financing our budgeted city hall. And I'm a firm believer in public-private partnerships. And we need to identify what I call investment-grade cash flows. We have that here in Dallas. We're just not doing enough of that. And because we're so much focused on highways, Hilda, highways basically remove the density, they remove population, they narrow our tax base, and it makes it more difficult for us to pay for basic city services. And so just the mere thing of having to pay to go to a park is an indicator that we don't have enough revenue to provide for our basic city services. But those basic city services need to come first for our community before we build a toll road. It's going to cost $1.5 billion.
Exactly. And also, if you look at the crime rate, gang rate, rape rate, you look at teen pregnancies, you will look at those are all in poverty levels. Because the children are getting sexually involved and active because they don't have anything else to do. Hey, let's go to the backseat of the car. Why couldn't they just go play golf or soccer or tennis or something at the parks? Because it's not accessible to them. So we need to build...
The Latina pregnancy rate is the highest ethnocentric pregnancy rate in the country.
And they should be voting.
And the Latino dropout rate is the highest percentage in the country as well.
I believe you. You know, in 2006, I went to Ya es tiempo. Nos cansamos y tenemos que votar, gente. El voto es su voz y es el cambio para nuestra ciudad. Pero when I was in the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as a student in the Hispanic Leadership Institute, I did a survey and we did a research, and it showed that Dallas ISD received 3 different allocations from the state. One for dropout prevention, one for transition from middle school to high school, and higher rate of education. We're talking about $11 million a year for a 3-year period, and those numbers have not changed. And I get tired of saying they have not changed because it's the same. And we want to pat ourselves in the back and say, no, well, we graduated 1 more. Well, you know what? 1 more is not enough. We have to reach more children. They have the funds. They mismanage the money. They get bigger pockets at the top. Let's do what, I don't know what college did this, that they took their annual income and gave it back to the schools and gave bonuses to all the teachers and increases. We need to do something like that as incentive to teachers, not to cheat on tests, but to really go out and have the passion that they started with when they were initially going to be teachers.
Así es que vamos a decir, ¿dónde es donde necesitamos que ir a votar a Marcos Ronquillo? Que queremos saber más información sobre Marcos Ronquillo. Nuestra comunidad no sabe. Where should we get a hold of Marcos Ronquillo in case we need to ask him questions? Ahorita está bien sereno y bien tranquilo, pero míralo cuando está en debates. Es bueno para los debates.
Facebook, Marcos Ronquillo for Mayor.com, de Marcos Ronquillo Facebook.
Y aparte que Mr. Ronquillo tiene el privilegio de tener un app en su propio nombre. ¿Cómo es su app, Mr. Ronquillo?
You know, to tell you the truth, I don't know. I should know that.
I think it's Ronquillo for Mayor. Ronquillo for Mayor.
It's a application that they add to
go to your iTunes and download Ronquillo for Mayor, and you can get a beautiful page. You can get access to his website, to his Twitter, to his Facebook, and to his campaign people.
Mr. Palmer, Facebook, you're very accessible on Facebook. I am very interested in the Hispanic vote in Irving. That's why I invited you. And then there's also Mr. Spink. So hopefully we wish you well. But we want to see our Hispanic community also calling you, getting involved in the city council in Irving. Because I've been to several meetings and I see no one involved.
I know.
It's very sad, but it's true.
It is, and it's been a challenge for a number of years for people, really. I mean, Rene Castilla, maybe a name you remember,
yes.
He used to be on Channel 8 here. I remember when I was about 17, and I'm 50. I'll be 57 in May. I remember watching him on Que Pasa. You know, he was able to get elected here to Dallas. You know, he's president of the Dallas School Board, but with 41% of the population in Irving, he wasn't able to get elected. A couple of years ago, and then that large
That's right.
position.
And I think Danish was the one that had won that election. I think we were helping Mr. Danish. Mr. Danish.
Danish wasn't running against Rene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Mr. Palmer, for being with us. We have 10 minutes left, así es que hay que hacer la última pregunta al señor Ronquillo. Es muy importante que sepan sobre el voto. When you go and you register to vote, your ID must match your voter registration card. Nuestra gente hay que ser muy atentos y checar que te van a regresar, obviamente te van a regresar si el nombre de tu ID, de tu licencia no está igual que el voter registration, o se lo van a hacer a propósito y te van a regresar.
Acuérdense
no se desanimen.
Sí, acuérdense que ellos tienen una misión y eso es que usted se desanime y que no vote. Si usted vota temprano, abril 27, adelante. Pero si no lo dejan votar, usted llame a alguien en Voters Registration, llame al condado, a la señora Elba García, y les voy a dar su número de su trabajo de la doctora Elba García, que ella está en el condado y ellos tienen la capacidad y la responsabilidad de asegurar que todo esté funcionando bien. El número para Blanca Torres, que es su secretaria de su mano derecha, es 214-653-7597. Usted háblele y diga: Blanquita, me dijo Ms. Duarte que le llamara, me están dando mucha lata para votar, tengo mis datos, ¿qué puedo hacer? Inmediatamente le van a mandar a alguien que la auxilie, que le ayude, y usted va a recibir, porque es un derecho, no es una opción, es un derecho de votar.
Obligación.
Y es obligación suyo, además.
Exacto.
En Venezuela es obligación. Vas y compras un toilet paper y te hacen obligatorio. Sí, sabías. En Venezuela oh yeah, at the grocery store es obligatorio que voten. Vayas a la tienda, estás registrado, ya votaste, bueno, ya te vendemos. Eso está obligatorio, entonces hay que hacer, vamos a necesitar que hacerlo así, de esta manera.
Well, my former law partner was Adelpha Callejo. It was Callejo y Ronquillo.
Adelante con Adelpha.
Okay, y eso es mis palabras. I was the author of Adelante con Adelpha.
Wonderful.
I'm the author of that. And I know that Mrs. Callejo would tell everybody out there that your vote is your voice.
Y si no vota, no se queje. Usted es culpable de todo lo que esté recibiendo.
Exactly.
Así es. ¿Cuáles son las últimas palabras, señor Ronquillo, para nuestra comunidad hispana? What are your last words antes de la last election?
We need to participate.
Absolutely.
We had less than 3% of the Hispanic vote in the last municipal election. Also, our young people are not voting. The millennials, la juventud, we have to have them out and engage in our community. And I have a great idea right now. I can tell you, if I get elected mayor, I want to see Hilda and Marina on the official City of Dallas radio station.
We'll be there.
I think they need to be on public radio because they are a service to our community. And
Thank you.
Muchas gracias, no, you guys are great.
Muchas gracias.
You're my
Otra
heroes.
vez, si usted no tiene transportación y quiere votar, no le hace cuál sea su selección para la alcaldía, o llame a Jason Field Director, a Jason León, Field Director al 200-714-9838, y él le va a proporcionar transportación. No le van a donar el brazo, no le van a cobrar. Usted llame, digo, inviten a comadre, hablen de la novela mientras van, y luego una se queda y la otra viene y se platican. Es necesario que vayan a votar. A mí me encantan las novelas, pero yo me las grabo,
Mr. Palmer, what are your last words?
My last words are just echo what was just said. It's imperative that young people especially get out and vote. People need to be engaged in the community. And the important elections are not the ones in November. Really, the more important elections are these general elections like we're having in May and primary elections.
Absolutely. Así es que muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros.
Al contrario, gracias a todos.
Es un placer.
Ustedes se cuentan conmigo.
Y Mr. Ronquillo, otra vez el número de teléfono de usted para que se comuniquen con usted. Es muy importante que salgan a votar y que elíjanos al hispano, y si queremos una persona hispana inteligente, sería muy triste que no ganemos, y ahorita hay que apoyarlo.
Quiero añadir algo a esto. No elijan al señor Ronquillo porque es hispano. Elijan al señor Ronquillo porque es mérito que él gane, porque él está por toda la comunidad. Yo he tenido posiciones y oportunidades de votar por alguien que era hispano, y dígame que ser hispano no significa que va a ser recto y íntegro. Y este señor tiene mucha integridad.
I have the endorsement of the Stonewall Democrats, the Gay Lesbian Dallas Political Action Committee, the Green Alliance, and the AFL-CIO labor.
Wow. El AFL-CIO son los que están en las uniones. Por ejemplo, en Home Depot, en Walmart, en esos trabajos donde usted está trabajando, en los hoteles. Y esas son uniones que respaldan a la gente que sea víctima de racismo, de mal pago, maltrato, discriminación por ser mujer, por ser hispano, por ser afroamericano. Todo eso, ellos le ayudan, y el señor Ronquillo es un abogado muy bueno, y esperamos que usted nos apoye. El número de nuevo para Jason León es 202-714-9838. Muchísimas gracias.
Y son muy accesibles, se pueden encontrar con él. Obviamente él está en el área de Pleasant Grove, ¿verdad? Sus oficinas están ahí. Si sabes que yo quiero ir a visitarlo, quiero saber quién es esa persona que voy a votar, pueden ir a visitarlo, me imagino, a la oficina de abogados, ¿no?
Exacto.
A su oficina. Next week we have Kyle Renard for District 1. DISD candidates, David Lewis, District 3 for DISD candidate, Bernadette Nuttall in District 9. Next week tenemos todos nuestros candidatos de DISD. También estamos enfocados en educación. Hay que enfocarnos, empezar a iniciar con los hijos en casa y luego para que salgan grandes y para que educarlos a que voten.
Va a haber fuego. Anímense la semana que entra.
Así es que se pueden comunicar con nosotros al 214-228-5510 o se pueden comunicar, mandarnos un Facebook en message a Eco Marina, Ecolatino o Ecolatino Radio. Estamos disponibles. Hilda está aquí la próxima semana. Vamos a hablar sobre el LULAC Convention, que no cubrimos ese tópico, pero vamos a hacer lo de LULAC National.
Y también queremos dar gracias a Marina, que nos apoyó para la convención del Distrito 3 esta semana. Fue un éxito y me da mucho orgullo decir que el LULAC Council Meal 4782 fue otorgado el primer lugar concilio del área.
Claro que sí, Hilda, y la próxima vez vamos a estar ahí con los potosinos pueden, vamos a incorporar a Casa San Luis Potosí, vamos a tener juntas y a ser más activos en la comunidad y a registrar a nuestra gente para que salga a votar. Muchas gracias, señor Ronquillo, por estar aquí con nosotros.
Gracias a usted.
David Palmer, thank you very much for being here with us, and we're looking forward to seeing you at City Council when I stop by there to visit you.
Saludos a todos, Dios los bendiga.
Igualmente, gracias.
Chao.
You cannot go here.
Was that in Oh my God.
Está bien.
Can I get an extra copy of this?
You can have that.
Oh, great.
I have 100.
Yeah, Lord.
Not 100, but I can spare that.
Okay, I see it right. I see it right now.
Okay.
It's going out nationwide.
Que Dios te oiga.
WABC Chicago.
Vote temprano
Chicago,
el
yeah.
27
Vamos a Chicago.
WABC Chicago. No, that's this one.
All right. Ahí está.
Este anuncio
Vamos a recibir esta bendición por parte de Dios.
It's like working with my aunt.
Okay, good.
I love it. It's great. No, they're and their energy level. My God, I get tired watching you guys.
Usted cuenta conmigo.
Great.
Voto temprano el 27 de abril 2015. Las votaciones generales serán el 9 de mayo 2015. Este anuncio está aprobado y pagado por la campaña de Winnie Cannon.
Mr. Palmer, just
John
word of advice.
candidato para el Distrito 7. Su interés es nuestra gente. El voto temprano del 27 de abril 2015. Las elecciones generales son el 9 de mayo 2015. Pagado y aprobado por la campaña de John.
I want the beauty in the middle.
With our new single, it's Marina.
Sure, okay. You're the pro.
Yeah. And then we'll do it.
Somos tres.
Oh, the doors.
It's just about a change. What I pretend to be, the cow got the cream. Oh, everybody said Marina is a dreamer. If I like to tell you what you're gonna be, it's not my problem if you don't see what I see. And I do not give a damn if you don't believe my problem is not true.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Mira las porras. Mira las porras. Seriously. You guys got a lot going. I love it. Incredible. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Muchas gracias.
Okay.
Mándela. Picture, one picture.
Yeah, let's get a photo. You know, like, I need some credibility.
Yeah. We're very good at Facebook. We're like Facebook and everything. So if you want to scoot over to by the sign, por el sign.
As well?
Sí,
Sure,
está bien.
We can do all four of us and then.
Yeah, it's okay. Venga, vamos a hacer bonito. Okay. Palmer, we Facebook a lot, so.
Good. Facebook makes it. Put your photos on Facebook. Do whatever you want on my Facebook page.
Okay.
Sí, gracias, señora. Sí, gracias. No, para servirle. Estoy trabajando por usted. Okay.
Yo trabajo mucho también. Déjame ver una foto solito, ¿no? Ahora la mía. Vamos a estar en...
And we're going to go public, man. This time next year, we'll be syndicated. WABC nationwide. Marina and Hilda. There you go. Absolutely.
Dallas Forward. Esta es
You're the connection to the casa.
700
I wonder what's going on. You guys are the connection. That's it.
And that's it, yeah.
See, here's the problem. Here's the thing. And then the thing too.
If I take he will. Trust me.
But here's the problem. So you guys understand. So you have the casas, right? I totally get that. And we got to get them more registered. But at the same time, I also represent the ones that live in Ronquillo. Okay? And I'm talking about Exit Ceramic. I'm talking about Kuruma. I'm talking about Pimbo. Yeah. So it's almost like the Great Divide, right? Two different worlds, right? And I'm trying to reach out to them too, to get them involved as well, because we're talking, they can provide philanthropy.
Right, yes. Right.
Okay, and they're not doing enough.
Mujeres empresarias.
You know, Victor Almeida cut me a check. Okay, Lucy Espinosa is cutting me a check, but I'm saying Johnny Williams is cutting me a check.
But we need
them to participate.
Right, yeah.
I want to go to your hat when you do the vote request.
We're going to do that.
We have the new
the president of the Senator of Puerto Rico is endorsing my campaign.
Okay, good. Because I have some Puerto Rican friends. Y tienen un grupo.
Irving is filled with Puerto Ricans. We help Danish for this campaign.
Yeah.
And we got voted in.
You got an invitation, girl.
Okay.
¿Tienes una tarjeta?
Le voy a decir a Leslie que está en el cielo. Tell Leslie to send me the information.
Okay, you bet.
And I'm going to try and invite some of them.
Great. All right, we'll do that.
Yeah, we help Danish, and there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Irving. You'd be surprised, Magazine.
Oh, thank you.
Y en lo que yo pueda ayudar,
Gracias, mi madre.
Ya estamos en
allá nomás se
So
me
you
hablan.
guys you have a small army going here.
Yes.
Just three of us, but we're powerful.
Gorillas. La
Somos poderosas, chiquitas pero picosas.
Así es.
Marina de
Marina, Silvia y Hilda.
Wow.
Con eso hay.
Las casas, no me has enfocado, señor Ronquillo, las casas, because that's where we need to start off.
Right.
There's Durango.
Oh, okay, maybe that's
I
it.
don't know, porque ahí put it over.
You know we have the new leaders de casas.
Likewise, good luck with your campaign, sir.
Las casas de Durango, those are new.